Could always use a little zen in Washington, D.C. Major progress on the Capitol Hill this morning. Senate Democrats passing a more than $3 trillion budget resolution plan. The Senate also passing that $1.2 trillion bipartisan infrastructure bill yesterday. Both of you will have details on both of those coming up in a bit.
All right, well, look, Albany, New York, live look here. We saw it coming. We all saw it, right? New York Governor Andrew Cuomo is out. Although he's going to do it on his timeline, it's a rather unique thing to be up against it and then say, I quit, but really post-date it for 2 weeks. He's got 13 days left, it seems, in office. We'll see what happens. I got a theory about that, too, that maybe we could talk about that, Mike, because I'm not so sure. I'll put it to you like that. It ain't over till it's over. Right. You understand? And what did Frank Sinatra say about New York and my way and something like that? I just feel like it's not. It's just there's a Hail Mary maybe that could sort of be coming. That just you and Candace Kelly, our Justice Correspondent, might think I'm crazy, but we'll see. Welcome to Start Your Day. And this is where we begin. This morning, I'm Sharon Reed alongside Mike Hill. And maybe you should start with a question, right? The soon-to-be former governor of New York. You knew he was going to resign, right? You didn't think he was going to,
Absolutely.
Go down to the very last second, right? He was bluffing a little bit. I mean, he's a fighter.
Yeah, and that's the thing about Andrew Cuomo is he's got so much hubris and so much pride in his ego. Yeah. He was a great governor. Now, don't get me wrong. Look, the allegations aside, okay, and I know it's hard to do, but as far as governing the state of New York, he was a pretty good governor, 3-term governor, was going to be the favorite to win in 2022, a 4-term governor, something that his dad, Mario, wasn't able to do. But yeah, I mean, even when in the face of the allegations, when he was defiant about it last week, when they first came out about it, he still seemed like, you know what, I'm here and I'm not going anywhere. So when it happened yesterday, I'm not going to say I was shocked, but at the same time, I was a bit surprised. And you see, he still waited almost 10 minutes into his news conference before he actually announced that, hey, you know what? I got to do what I got to do. And it's not because I'm guilty of anything. It's because it's what's best for the state of New York.
He has some more things to say, and he was going to do it again. Even the announcement that he was quitting on his timeline. I think we do have some of that sound, so let's play it.
New York tough means New York loving. And I love New York. And I love you. And everything I have ever done has been motivated by that love. And I would never want to be unhelpful in any way. And I think that given the circumstances, the best way I can help now is if I step aside and let government get back to governing.
Like you said, it was tough for him to get that out, and he did want that 4th term desperately, as if to avenge the father, right? Mario Cuomo, the Cuomo name, it's a dynasty at this point. And New York now, we should mention, has its first woman ever to become the governor, Kathy Hochul, I think the name is. I could be saying it wrong. We'll learn her name.
Hochul. Yeah.
Hochul. Okay, there it is. And more people will get to know her. I do have a theory, though, that perhaps the 2-week delay. There she is, Kathy Hochul, New York's first female governor. That perhaps the delay is him waiting. Let me just, the news cycle's short. I understand this is a huge development in one of the most storied families in politics.
What do you mean, waiting? Do you mean like he might withdraw his resignation in the next 13 days?
Yeah. If something comes out. If there's something that comes out about 1 or 2 of the accusers that turns the tide. I mean, it's very ugly to consider. But, yeah, I think that there's a Hail Mary. I said 1 or 2, so there'll still be 9 left. Okay, so yeah, you don't have enough fingers, Michael. Okay, there's 11.
I know.
So I just don't know this guy who's a fighter, right? Bare knuckles, don't even need the gloves, is going to if there's a shift. As there often can be. Look where he was at the height of the pandemic, and everyone's like, "Hey, we love him." Yeah, go ahead. You may go.
No. Here's the thing. I believe there's going to be a comeback. It won't be now. I believe he's setting himself up to come back in 2022 to run again. That depends on what happens in the courtroom as well. We're about to bring in Candace Kelly to talk more about that in just a second. But I do believe that will play out a little bit more, and then depending on what happens in the courtroom, the cases they drop, they start settling or whatnot, then I believe he'll come back in 2022. I don't think he's that arrogant that he will step aside for the state of New York to do what's best to govern and allow New York to get back on track when it comes to coronavirus and everything that's going on there. And then say, you know what, despite these allegations that still are out there from 9 or 10 other women, I changed my mind and I got the right to do that. No, well, I don't think so. Okay. But you never know.
I don't think you make it sound a little simple. And let's bring in Justice Correspondent Candace Kelly right now and say good morning to her. And Candace, I don't know how much you heard. And good morning. But
good morning.
I wasn't making it that simple, Candace. I wasn't saying that in 2 weeks he'll just wake up and say, I'm back. I was saying that over the course of 2 weeks, something nutty happened, something nuttier. Okay, something a little bit more. This, after what we've seen over the last 18 months, over the last 4 years, plus, you never know. I'm just saying that he waits 2 weeks, not to, in my view. I've never been a governor, Candace. Not so that there can be this peaceful. I should be governor. I think I could do it if there's some governors out here making some bonehead decisions. Don't you think that I could? Yeah, I could do at least better than they could. Okay, with their goofiness getting overturned by the judges. We'll talk about that. But go ahead. I'm sorry, Candace. That was my campaign speech, really.
I do agree with you that when we look back, let's go back to Governor Eliot Spitzer. He was out of there in 2 days when he resigned, right? Now, this 14 days, a lot could happen. As we know, like Mike was saying, Governor Cuomo is a fighter. He is a deal maker. Is this the deal breaker, really, is the question. And I think that he's going to get into that 14 days and, first of all, see if the impeachment process is going to carry out, because members of the assembly are working with attorneys now to figure out whether or not that should be of interest, whether or not they can you impeach someone who's not even in office. Then I think once that happens, then Governor Cuomo will feel at ease to then actually move on, because that keeps open the door, if he's not impeached, that he could still run for office again. He's got $18 million in his campaign war chest. So we know that he's a fighter, a New York fighter, and he does not like to be told what to do, which is why, like Mike said, he resigned 10 minutes into his speech, not at the top, because his resignation could have taken all of 2 to 3 minutes. He made his case with his attorney, then he made his case before he actually resigned. I think we are going to see a lot more from him. A lot can happen in 2 weeks. I agree. What it will be is yet to see, but a lot will happen.
And Sharon, I agree. You probably could get elected governor of New York after the last 2 governors who were elected. They basically had to resign. You heard of Eliot Spitzer. I mean, in both the type of charges that were against them, the allegations that were against them, and now Cuomo. But you know what? He can't be in the governor's mansion, though, if he's in jail, Candace. I mean, criminal charges, could he still be facing those?
Oh, yeah. All the doors are still open. We already have some of the accusers saying that they are going to file civil cases. Then he's also looking at civil charges. The FBI and the Brooklyn U.S. Attorney's Office are investigating him and his administration over the handling of the nursing homes. Then we've got that $5 million book deal. There is a lot going on here. And in terms of these charges, we're looking at sexual misconduct in the third degree, which would be a misdemeanor. There are 5 counties that are looking into this right now. They've asked for the paperwork from the Attorney General's office. They're doing their own investigations. If everything goes through outside of this impeachment, even if that never happens, he will be embroiled in the court system unless he pleads out, unless he settles. But in the criminal court and in the civil court, he's going to be embroiled with this over the next year, whether impeachment happens or not. So, yes.
Yeah, so Candace, I want to know with the civil suits, right? He is still the governor of New York. This happened while he was the governor of New York. And I want to know who pays if there's a settlement, if there's a civil win by these accusers. Does he pay personally, or do the citizens of the great state of New York have to foot the bill for this?
It's going to be a little bit of both, depending upon whether or not he is sued. I'm sure that he will be sued personally, and I'm sure that he will be sued in terms of just representing the governor's office. So normally when people sue for, we're talking about sexual harassment and we're talking about retaliation when we look at these civil lawsuits. Both people are normally sued, which leads to financial problems in terms of what he will go through. Another thing that's at stake would be his pension. If he is impeached, there is a bill that is on the table that will actually go into effect retroactively for those people who are actually impeached. So that's another thing. And guess what? That $5 million big book deal that we've been talking about, he's gotten a few $1 million, but there's $2 million that he hasn't got yet. So he donated 500,000 of it. He kept and cleared about 1.2 million. That other 2 million may or may not come forward to him because the book sales were so low. And then if his pension is threatened, he's looking at financial problems too. So he's got a lot that he is thinking about now in terms of, besides packing and moving out of the governor's mansion and his office.
Yeah, and like you said, in 2 weeks, and he's got a lot on his plate. By the way, the Lieutenant Governor Kathy Hochul, I believe, she's taking over as the governor in 2 weeks. By the way, a black woman is taking her place. So the top 2 officials in the state of New York are now women. One being a black woman. But why 2 weeks to wait? In your opinion, for Cuomo to step down? Why do you think he's taking these 2 weeks to do so?
Well, you know, he has said, hey, listen, I've got to work with the next governor, Kathy Hochul, and, you know, help her in position, which I just have an aside, you know, that when he says that she's talented and she's smart, you know, those are actually words that are often reserved for women. He wouldn't have said those words if it were a man. So even as he went out, he was still making mistakes. Yep, I think a lot of women caught that, oh, she's smart and she's talented. Of course she is. But we often hear from men that that's how they characterize women and people of color in general. But I digress. In terms of why he would spend 2 weeks, he's saying he has to help this next governor. And like Sharon said, he's also doing some other things. We just don't know what they are yet. So I think that is what's on the table right now. So that's how I see it.
Hey, Candace, as far as him helping, the first would-be woman to ever be the governor of New York, maybe it needs to happen virtually, because if it's in person, leave the door open, Governor Cuomo, and let's have other parties in the room, because we just, this thing needs to, let's let this news cycle die here.
I also say this, that this next governor, we still don't know what she knew. I'm not saying yes to her. And a lot of people are questioning, okay, you were in and around the office, weren't you? What did you know? What did you not say? What did you not do? What did you do? You did say something, but you only said it recently, yet you've been there for years. Didn't generally everybody know how the governor acted? Even if you didn't know about any sexual allegations, just the way that he governed, a lot of people didn't like. De Blasio glad to see the governor go. So in terms of,
he roasted him.
What's that?
I said he roasted him. De Blasio, they have no love lost.
Yes. So I think the verdict is out still on her. What will happen in the next 2 weeks and what will be uncovered with her? I think we need to put a bookmark.
Yeah, a lot of people knew what was going on and allowed it to happen. Didn't say a word until now, until everything came out. But Candace Kelly, we appreciate your word. We appreciate your participation and being here. And as a man, I got a lot to learn, man. We need to learn to respect women in a lot of different ways.
He knew. He talked about this line being moved, and he knew. He helped pass legislation that explained what moving the line meant. He knew. He knew.
Yeah.
He knew.
And Mike, I just want to say I want to say you're very talented. You're very smart. I just wanted to make sure I put that out there. You're so talented and smart.
You guys are
you're
very
capable.
I'd actually take handsome and fine. I mean, that's what.
Okay.
Go ahead, take it. Make me feel uncomfortable.